So there's a lot of hand-wringing about the media, and are they balanced enough? Are they creating more division? Are they fake? Are they not fake? So Walter Isaacson, who was former CNN chairman and CEO, and very respected in the community and in the industry, now at the Aspen Institute, is on Bloomberg television. He's going to talk about it. I think he is half right, but I also think that he leaves out a huge part which makes him half wrong. So first, let's watch.
About the fracturing of journalism. Talk to us a little bit about how you see Fox's role here in perhaps smoothing some of the divides in the country or exacerbating them.
Oh yeah, I think that's definitely true that the divides in our country have been exacerbated by all forms of media, whether it's in the blogosphere or on cable news, people getting more and more partisan.
So now the half that's true is obvious. So, you know, in the beginning there was well, actually, it depends on what you mean by the beginning. In the modern era, there was the Walter Cronkites, et cetera, and the idea was that the news was supposed to be objective. Now, that's not really that true. Edward R. Murrow, one of the legends of news, was clearly opinionated, had a perspective, shared it on air. Walter Cronkite actually was. His most famous moments are when he said Vietnam, we weren't winning and we weren't headed in the right direction. That is an opinion. And when he cried over JFK being shot, very understandable, but a moment of emotion and passion. So I think that even the past has been judged in a way that's not really accurate, let alone the fact that if you go further back to the foundation of this country, the press actually used to be deeply partisan and far more vicious than it is today. So that's a fact, and you can go check that out as well. But in the modern era, there was the thought that there is objectivity, and oftentimes, by the way, delivered by organizations like Associated Press, Reuters, McClatchy Newspapers does a wonderful job with it. I think The Guardian does, Intercept, et cetera. But it got warped at some point to mean balance or neutrality instead of objectivity. So then they just said, well, Republicans say this and Democrats say that. And look, the organization that he ran, CNN, was the most responsible, in my opinion, for that kind of false equivalency. So is there more partisanship now? Yes, then Fox News comes, they're deeply partisan. And then online, it's very clear Breitbart's on the right, and Glenn Beck's on the right. There are many blogs on the left, and obviously we're very clear about our perspective, and we are progressive. So I think that at least there's more honesty online where people clearly label their perspective. And you know, you've heard me say this 1,000 times. I think CNN and the rest of the establishment media also have a perspective. They have an establishment perspective and an establishment bias, which they do not clearly label. That is why they see some on the left and the right as fringe and not acceptable, and they're outside of the the range of acceptable opinion according to the grand poobahs who run CNN, et cetera. So, but is it more partisan? Yes, I will grant him that that is half true. Let's watch a little bit more so I can tell you what I think is actually the #1 problem here.
If people could step back from that, and I don't just put Fox in the category, but I put everybody in the category, including all of us. If we could step back from having knee-jerk partisan reactions, that would be good.
Yes and no. So if you are having a partisan reaction and you say, well, the Democrats are right no matter what, then that's useless. And nobody online is interested in that, by the way. Or if you say the Republican Party is always right, of course, that's useless. And people online, I think, are far more sophisticated than TV viewers, and they don't fall into the normal team play. My family's always been a Democratic family. My family's always been a Republican. I'm on team Republican or Democrat. So now, are there also people online that are not more sophisticated? Of course, I know that too. But generally speaking, I don't know that there is a show with a deeper connection to the online audience than we have. Tens of thousands of comments every day, and I can tell you right now that the viewers online do not like partisanship. On the other hand, they want you to be honest and clear with your perspective. Again, I think we deliver on that. And to be fair to Breitbart, it's clear what their perspective is, and many of the right-wing blogs and left-wing blogs. But what I think that Walter Isaacson is getting wrong there is that he thinks, well, that means we call it down the middle. No. And I hope I'm not putting words into his mouth, but I have seen this time and time again, and in the context of that interview, it certainly appeared that he was saying that. If you then say, since I don't want to be partisan, I'm going to say what the Republicans are doing and the Democrats are doing are equal. No, but that's not true. That's not objectively true. So I can give you many examples. I'll give you one. The number of filibusters that the Republicans did doubled or nearly tripled the previous record of filibusters. So, and by the way, that's undercounting. If you look at just strictly the numbers of filibusters, I think it's around double. But if you see that the Democrats actually did not force them into filibusters on many other issues that they could have, it would have gone way past that number. So who was more obstructionist? Well, there is a literal answer to that question, and it was the Republican Party. Now, if you say today the Democrats are obstructing Republicans' plans, that's fair. But and I'm not sure you should call it even there either. The Democrats are looking to block Trump's agenda, hence they are more obstructionist. But don't call it even if it isn't even. And so in reality now, and here's what you'll never hear in the establishment press, partly because of the opinions of Isaacson's and others that would consider it unduly partisan. One party is playing by Queensberry rules. I mean, when Ossoff lost, he had banners in the background saying humility. What kind of a political slogan is humility? On one side, they got kids' gloves on. On the other side, they are proud. I mean, you go look at all the work. Roger Stone's not hiding it. He's so proud of all of his lies and deceptions and tricks, and he brags about it to anyone who'll see it. And now roundly acknowledges the person who got Donald Trump to run, and a lot of his campaign was based on Roger Stone tactics. And it is a proven fact how many times Donald Trump lies. He lies within the same sentence. If you call that even, you have done a great disservice to journalism. So if you say, well, look, we don't want to seem too partisan, so I will say I can't tell the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Well, that's not journalism, and you've hurt the idea of the media and the press. So which plan covers more people? Obamacare has a lot of issues with it. We talked about the issues when they were passing it. I don't think it controls prices nearly well enough. But does it cover more people? Absolutely. Will senior citizens pay more under this new healthcare proposal? Absolutely. Sometimes three times more than they used to pay. Sometimes 4 times more than they used to pay. By the way, it's also fair to say some young and healthy people will pay less under the Republican plan. And then you talk about a trade-off. The Republicans give a giant, about $700 billion tax cut to the rich. That's a fact. That's a fact. Don't be afraid to say it. And 23 million people will lose their insurance, and senior citizens will pay a lot more. On the other hand, rich people get more tax cuts, and younger and more healthier people will pay a little bit less for their insurance. But on places like CNN, they are so afraid to say it because then Donald Trump and everybody will say, oh, you're on the liberal media, you're on their side, you're being partisan, fake news, all that stuff. No, lay out the facts no matter where they fall. And I think they are so scared to be called partisan that is not what they're doing today. That's the real problem with the establishment media today. Help us build independent media together. TYTnetwork.com/join.